going on, everybody? This is Pro Wrestling Wire podcast. Rick Del Santo is your host. I have a very special guest. It being Veterans Day, I've got Sargent Antonio Andolini here with me today. Somebody I discovered not so long ago, but I've been really impressed by it right off the bat. Mr. Andolini, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for that great introduction, Rick. That's wonderful. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. I've gotten the opportunity to work with you a little bit on a numerous occasions, and of course, got to sit back and watch some of your matches on my own, just hanging out there. So, but always one of my biggest questions is, and I love how people's origin stories are in the world of professional wrestling and how they get interested in the world of professional wrestling. Because me, growing up a kid in the '80s, I discovered it just with my cousins laying around, and my cousin was a huge Hulkamaniac, and then that kind of forced me into an obsession over the next 40 years. How did you get interested in it? And did you play sports at all as a kid as well?
Well, wrestling first. I grew up in a small town called Sanborn, New York. It's between Buffalo and Niagara Falls, and we were dirt poor growing up. My father used to have to work three jobs to make ends meet, and the only time, I don't have any memories, obviously, of my father not being there because all of my memories are of me and my father. I'm talking like 2 years old watching wrestling. My father always, for some reason, was watching wrestling. I know that he was a big Dusty guy. He saw Dusty like in the late 60s, I want to say, when he was a heel as the West Texas Outlaws with Dick Murdoch.
Yep.
Dick Murdoch. And and then, like, he kept catching Dusty. Like, he was in the Air Force at Lackland Air Force Base. Now he catches Dusty as a babyface. He ends up in Florida when Dusty just set that whole territory on fire. So he was there for that whole Florida run before I don't think it was Mid South. It's before the Mid South, the NWA, where you get to Rick and Dusty and all of that.
And
So my father had watched for years, to make a long story short. And then all of my memories of me and my father from like two till probably about 5 or 6 are me and him just watching wrestling. I even remember I came down, like I couldn't sleep one night. I'm like 4 or 5 years old. I come down the steps. It's like 11:30 at night. I walk around the corner and there's wrestling on TV. And I just look at my father. I'm like, what are you doing? There's wrestling on TV at night and you didn't tell me about it? He's like, well, I'm taping it. I'm taping it. You can watch it tomorrow. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. But always been interested in it. I am a lot older than I look. My age is classified due to the military, but that's neither here nor there. I started watching wrestling in the early 80s. And the first show I went to, the co-main event was Terry and Dory Funk versus the British Bulldogs for the WWF Tag Team Championships. And the main was Piper versus the Junkyard Dog. And from that point forward, that's when I got bit. 4 years old. This is the only thing I ever wanted to do. I played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
Which like was probably the last of the sports that I even got interested in because there was no contact. Like, it was wrestling. They had to talk me into watching football. They had to talk me into watching hockey because for me, and now with my kids saying the same exact thing 25 years later, like, this is a comic book come to life. It's always been, when done correctly, the best form of entertainment for me. And I just couldn't wait to get old enough to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. How old were you when you got into it?
18, 19.
Okay.
Tried
My
college. That was never going to work at that point in my life. And
Right.
then from that was more appeasing my parents, I think. And then the moment that went south, I was like, I'm going to wrestling school. Now the internet's like a brand new thing, but you could look up online, where are there wrestling schools?
Right.
And I started going through them all and looking at them. And then finally, I had settled on the Monster Factory when it was Pretty Boy Larry Sharpe, not I don't know the guys who run the Monster Factory now, but when it
Any.
was Pretty Boy Larry Sharpe. And then I called Larry, got him on the phone. And I think I was like the first guy to move across country in a long time to show up at the Monster Factory. So Larry liked me right off the bat. And Larry wasn't really doing a lot of training himself. He had other trainers doing the training. But Larry always took an interest in me. God love him. I know there's a lot of bad Larry Sharpe stories out there. But for me, Larry was great. I moved from, I was in Florida at the time. I moved from Florida all the way up to New Jersey to the Monster Factory. Larry found me a place to live and he put me in with the head trainer, who at the time was Eddie Atlas. So I went from a kid from nowhere in Sanborn, New York, to just being right in the middle of the wrestling business. And now this is early 2000, mid 2000. So ECW still rolling, WCW still rolling. This is like the first wrestling boom that really hit where like everybody was now trying to do this.
What was it like meeting somebody like Larry Sharpe and at the Monster Factory and being up there? A lot of guys from ECW were trained out of there, obviously, like you mentioned, and a lot of them used to work in the New Haven and Connecticut area as well. I don't know if you ever made it out here as well as part of any of those guys at that time period.
I went south.
You went south. You went
Yeah,
south.
after I was done at the Monster Factory. But yeah, with that's like with ECW still going. So like I remember vividly
Hmm.
when I learned how to sell. And
Hmm.
I learned how to sell, which I consider to be the old way because I haven't seen it done like this since, is it was okay. The Monster Factory had two rings, and in the first ring was where all the beginners were, and I blew through that in like a month. That was
Right.
supposedly not normal. So now I'm in the ring with the actual wrestlers. This is no more just doing hip tosses and arm drags and learning how to fall. Like now you need to learn how to sell. And this is the old way of the wrestling business, kid. If you don't sell when I hit you the first time, then I'm going to hit you for real the second time so that you will sell for me.
Right.
That didn't technically happen, but what it was you'd climb in the ring and every single guy who was trained to be a wrestler got in there and bumped you. And those sessions went from 45 minutes to an hour, and they're tagging in and out. So
Right.
you're getting 5 minutes of their best.
Right.
And then you're, 45, 50 minutes in, keep your head up, yelling at you while you're doing it, the whole 9 yards. And this went on for 2.5, 3 months.
Hmm.
And like during it, because again, the people they're all friends. So
Right.
I'm sitting in the driveway working out with a couple other wrestlers, and up pulls Pitbull Gary Wolf. Him and Eddie Atlas are really good friends. He comes to the house. You're sitting there like, oh, this is cool, man. Look at that. Pitbull Gary Wolf is right here. He comes up. He's Pitbull Gary Wolf is talking to me. I introduce myself. I say as little as possible because I'm a young boy in the wrestling business. How long you been here? Just the pleasantries. And then Eddie comes out. They're talking. And while they're all talking is when I realize that Pitbull Gary Wolf has his gym bag in his hand, which means he's going to leave here with us, go to the gym, and I'm about to get my ass kicked by Pitbull Gary Wolf. And that happened with Balls Mahoney.
Hmm.
And then one day it happened with King Kong Bundy.
Ah,
Because
interesting.
Larry had trained Bundy at some point there during the mix.
Yeah, yeah. I've had the opportunity to work with Pitbull Gary Wolf once. I think it was for. Remember, we just worked a USWF show out in Rhode Island. That's the first time I met you. It was a year prior when Joe ran a show that I actually got a chance to meet Pitbull Gary Wolf. And I grew up watching him way before he was an ECW guy, way before he did jobs in WWF for a company called South Atlantic Pro in out of the Carolinas. And I had a for some reason I'm still obsessed to this day about that promotion because it's like kind of was like old school NWA but into the early 90s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like they tried to make up for the fact that pick up a lot of the old NWA syndication when after WCW took all those shows off the air
Okay.
and stuff like that. So I got the cable up here or the TV up here on a low powered UHF station and I would just really wanted to talk to him about South Atlantic Pro. I like it's like one of my obsessions still, what, 30 some odd years later. And when I said, hey, I used to watch you at South Atlantic Pro, he's down tying his boots. He just looked up. You mean for Paul Jones? And he goes, yeah, I remember that. And it's just we ended up having a cool conversation about
Guy.
great guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great guy.
Is there
Even when he
anybody?
kicked my ass all night, he's still a great, great guy.
Is there anybody that in your training camp that actually might have moved on and that we know about these days?
Yes. When I was staying with Eddie, there was another wrestler named Jeff Luxon. He was the best wrestler in the school at the time. But the
Hmm.
guy that would come down on the weekends' name was Cliff Compton. And he was either Deuce or Domino
I
with
remember
Ted
him.
DiBiase. I don't remember which one he was. He had a nice
Yep.
little 3-year run there.
Yep.
So, yeah, Cliffy was the one. There was another guy who made it, but I don't really remember his name. He came in towards the end, and then I had to get out of there because living with Eddie was challenging. It was the army before the army.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I
uh,
wasn't as a soldier yet. So,
right.
I mean, the man did prepare me for the military.
Right. So what gimmick were you using at the time? Well, you weren't obviously you weren't. I would say that you weren't based on the timing, right? I think that you chose what you're doing now is more kind of based on your real life situation
Yeah.
during the service. What were you kind of working on back then?
He was a chicken shit heel, the complete opposite of what I was now.
Really?
Nothing I can bring forward. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like,
Yeah.
young, handsome guy, grab myself a lady, bring her out with me. Like, you hate me right off the bat. I used to come
Yeah.
out with a big boa on and tiger stripe shirts and the whole 9 yards, wrestling like them silver hot pant type gimmicks.
Complete opposite of
Yes,
what I see now. So
yes.
so
But
of course,
at the time,
yeah.
like you see, they were bigger. I'm sorry, we were
Yeah.
bigger in the early 2000s.
Right.
And for me and my size, if I'm not going to be a cruiserweight, because that's a thing, oh well, if there's only 3 cruiserweights, you would make 4, you're good. If you're 3, now there's no match, right?
Right. Right.
So I would have to wrestle. Everyone's bigger than me. And at the time, like, a lot of legitimate tough guys are still in professional wrestling at this point because
Hmm.
UFC isn't a thing where we can make money at. Like, I'm wrestling, I'm 20 years old, 19 years old, wrestling guys 34, 35, 36. These are grizzled men that I'm wrestling, and I'm some young kid, right? So what's
Yep.
believable? The only thing really believable is I slap you in the face a couple times, run for my life, beg off at the end, and then you squash me. Like, that was the job at that point in time, unless I got in
Right.
the ring with a cruiserweight. And then I could do something completely different. But still, heel, I just didn't have
Yeah.
to be as much of a chicken shit.
Right. So how long did you do work before you went to the service? No, there's a reason why you went to the service,
Yes.
which I mean I've heard through the grapevine, but I'm pretty sure it's probably true. A year later, we can get into that. But how long were you working before you joined the
Just
service?
just about a year.
Hmm.
By then I was in Florida. I was working for the FWA. They
Okay.
had a nice little loop from Vero Beach down to Lauderdale. There were with like 4 towns in between there. Um, I worked September 9th, 2001. And
Right.
then 9/11 happened on
Yep.
that Tuesday morning. And I called up Cliff Anderson, who was the guy running the territory at the time. And it's like, you got to pull me off the booking sheet. I'm done. I'm going. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to go fight. Me being the dumb kid that I was, I thought I could win the whole war all by myself. You just need to send one professional wrestler over there, and we'll show these guys how this thing works. But it doesn't really work like that.
Right. Right. So basically, the events of 9/11 is what made you change your mind and say, I need to go over there and do this, like you just said. And were you scared at all, or did you just, what were you thinking when that happened? That whole entire, I remember where I was. I had just gotten home from work because I worked an overnight job. I fell asleep. I woke up to my neighbor leaving a message on my voice machine. It was like, you got to see what's going on because everything was on the news. I was just like, whatever, I'm not bothering because he was crazy. You know what I mean? It's like you
Yeah.
always have
Oh,
that
yeah.
crazy neighbor. And then you wake up and then everything that's the news. Peter Jennings was on the news for 24 hours, straight on the ABC World News. It's just, it was just the whole world was crazy for like a whole nother year after that. So,
Yeah, it's the same thing. I was a bartender. That was my job while I was wrestling. So
right.
I had worked the night before, closed the bar down at 3 o'clock in the morning, went home. I wake up it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I flip on the TV as I'm getting up to get a shower and get going, and I
Right.
see that someone has crashed into the World Trade Center, and I'm only half paying attention to it. And I'm like, what an idiot! How do you not see those big buildings? Must be one of
Right.
them stupid little planes. Go off, take a shower, go into the kitchen, see the answering machine. Blink, blink, 7 messages, and it's my mother. Like, what is going on? Are you okay? What, just one after another. Now it's like, what the hell? I go turn it on. And as soon as now I walk back in the room that it's on and I see the Pentagon. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, we're at war.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else could it be? They're attacking the Pentagon. And
Yeah.
then the towers come. Yeah, then there's the replay of the towers coming down and the whole 9 yards. And my brother-in-law went to college out in New York City. I had spent a lot of time out in New York City, and I was just like, my father was a patriot. He was in the Air Force. The only reason why my family came here or got here is because my great-grandfather was in the Italian army in World War I and was some huge war hero over there. He went from like 15,000 on the list to come to America to 12. Like
Jeez.
the moment the war ended, my grandfather was on a boat sent to the United States. So like this is just something that the men in my family do, both sides,
Right.
even on my mother's side as well, not just my father's name.
Yeah.
So as soon as it happened, it's like, well, I'm only 21 years old. I have a strong base in wrestling. It's not like I can't walk away for 3 years and come back. And I got 3 years. Like, again, these dudes are grizzled men that I am wrestling against. I am a 21-year-old kid, right? It's not as much as it is nowadays. Like, we lose a lot of guys to pro fighting now that wouldn't
Right.
have that outlet. So it was like, 21, 24, I still got plenty of time to get on WWF's radar because they're the WWF.
At least another year or maybe 2. Yeah.
I'm in training when I
Yeah.
get the message from my brother-in-law, like, you're going to think you're gone forever, brother. But the WWF is now the WWE. I don't know what's going on.
I don't even think I think that was the brief period where I wasn't really watching when they changed the name. So I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. Like
Yeah.
my friend was somebody called me up and told me. I was like,
The wrestling business, too, had changed at that
yeah.
point, too, because
Right.
by middle of 2001, ECW's gone, WCW's gone, WWF's the only game in town.
Yeah.
I don't even think TNA had started running
It
shows.
was 2002, so it was, and then I think a few months after that was Ring of Honor. I think that's the order, so it went from being 3 big companies and it was just like, it was a chance for a lot of people such as yourself to get work somewhere, anywhere, you know what I mean? And then it was just like one company and they have a developmental deal with OVW, and then it's like there's nothing. You know what I mean? It's harder to get in the game because they were barely using any WCW talent. They weren't even bringing in the biggest talent that were let go.
No. Yeah.
So,
So
for the
and
most
that too,
part, I
like,
should say.
and the reverberation for us on the indies at that time was I'm going from trying to find a place to wrestle as a cruiserweight, and now all of a sudden Jamie Noble is out of a job. And where is he from? Oh, apparently
Yep.
the FWA. Now I'm wrestling Jamie Noble. Like, what is
Yep.
going on here?
Yeah.
But gone shortly thereafter to the WWF. But that was trickle down was happening across the board. So you're going from being on 3 or 4 booking sheets to now you're on 2 because they got 3 guys from WCW that are coming down here. They've been on
Yeah.
TV. Everyone knows these guys. Who are you?
Yep. Yeah. It was kind of a weird time for wrestling in general.
Yeah.
Very weird time. It's kind of miserable because there was only one main game in town, kind of a thing. And, the indies struggled, I think. I mean, they were good because a lot of guys that wanted to work, guys from ECW, but sometimes it's like, still, you work plenty of indie shows that sometimes there's not a lot of people that show up to these things. Sometimes, no matter who you were, you didn't draw. You know what I'm saying? And some of those shows, and it was kind of miserable sometimes. But then you give it a couple of years, things start shaping up with TNA, Ring of Honor. TNA started. You got to see guys like Low Key, Christopher Daniels on there, stuff like that. They used to work indies in like Meriden, Connecticut all the time. And it would be like, then you'd see him on TV on like Wednesday nights for TNA. It was kind of a weird period, but there's also this kind of awesomeness to it as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like WWE's not a lot of people still at that time for like the first couple of years knew what the hell TNA was at all.
Yeah, I heard about it. Like, oh, they're running weekly pay-per-views. They're like $10 or something every
Yes,
Wednesday or something.
I,
And
I,
immediately I'm like, well, that ain't gonna
I no, it did for a couple of years. I mean, but they had to find some sort of TV. And the first attempt at regular television didn't work because it only lasted like one or two TV tapings. The Fox show, it was on Fridays during the day. So luckily, I worked at night, so I was able to watch it. But it's like not a lot of people, and nobody really get because they also used a 6-sided ring at the time. Not a lot of people were kind of giving that shit a chance either. That's the other thing, and I caught TNA on the fourth pay per view, and I was like, "It's an NWA show. What the hell is this?" So I bought it immediately. Like, wow, that's wildly good. It's like really cool. And then I would buy every so often. You know what I mean? And like I said, about what 2 or so years, I think they did like 200 or so episodes like that before they were ended up able to get on Spike or whatever. I think it was like 2, 3 years in when they ended up getting a contract with
I missed
Spike.
all of it.
Yeah,
It was away. That's what I like
yeah,
to say to the boys.
yeah. Don't say that. Don't you say you're away? People think
Yeah,
like something.
yeah,
Think
I'm in
something
prison.
different. All the
Yeah, no,
yeah.
it
So
was like it though. Trust me.
yeah, yeah. So excuse me. When did you get out, and when did you come back, and what made you come to Connecticut, of all things? Are you in Connecticut now? Are you living in Connecticut, or are you
I'm
still in New
still in New
York?
York.
You're still in New
Yeah,
York. You come down here all that often?
yeah,
That's crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, yeah. Well, the 3 years that I said turned
Yep.
into 5 years.
Yep.
The 5 years turned into 7 years, and now I'm almost 29 years old. And the old rule of thumb was, you're not on the WWE's radar by the time you're 29, kid, you might as well not even bother.
Yeah.
I had met a girl at my last duty station. I'm about to get married. She is not prepared for me to hit the road at
Hmm.
all. Like, this is like, we haven't even had a conversation. We've had one conversation about wrestling at this point, me and my wife. It was, what are you doing? You're watching wrestling? She comes in my apartment one night. What are you doing? You're watching wrestling? I'm like, yes. And before you say whatever you're about to say next, you need to know that this was my dream my whole life. And this is what I was doing before I became an idiot and joined the army to go off to war. And I might get back to this one day. And that is literally the only conversation we had until 2020.
Interesting. Was she? No, this is funny. It's just would she kind of discuss it, or would like, why the hell are you watching that kind of a thing? Like, surprised that you liked
Yeah.
wrestling. I know
Yeah.
my
Just
wife. My wife doesn't
because at
like
this
wrestling.
point,
Yeah.
I'm into the UFC. Like,
Right.
I'm watching wrestling, but now I'm watching the UFC. And
Right.
even in my brain, I'm going, wow, this might have actually been an outlet for me if there was any money in this, 10 years ago. But
At that
now,
time, yeah, at
yeah.
that time during the 90s and early 2000s, there was not a lot of money. You could not make a career off of UFC because there wasn't enough sponsorships. Now it's a ton of sponsorships. People can actually make money doing it. But the early years of UFC, nobody can make a career out of it. I remember that. Even when they first got on the Spike, it was hard for a lot of guys to make a career out of that as well.
UFC was banned on pay-per-view
Yep.
for a good
New
minute
York,
there.
I think New York, up until the last few years, still wouldn't allow it. I don't even know if
Oh
they
yeah,
still do.
that's right.
Right.
It
They
took them
used,
forever to get to the garden. Yeah.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Where were we?
Uh, how she felt about professional wrestling and stuff like that.
Okay,
So,
so we had that one conversation. I spin off into fighting, and then it's like I really need to put wrestling down, like, because
yeah,
I won't be able to watch this. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna root
right,
on X wrestler. Like, I'm gonna root on Mark Henry. Like, oh, Mark. Like, I, I was, I wasn't far off from getting to that point, to
right,
be perfectly honest. Like, it's not like I had nothing the first time and it was like, oh, I'll go hide in the army and hopefully everyone forgets that I wanted to do this. Like, no, I was moving along quite nicely there until this happened until 9/11 happened. And then I felt like this is what I had to do. I didn't expect to stay as long as I did. Um, it just, you start deploying and then you start deploying with the same group of people. And then you start deploying multiple times with the same group of people. And now it's different for us because once you're there and you're
Mm-hmm.
in war,
Mm-hmm.
you're not fighting for the flag. You're not fighting for the country. You're not fighting for your family. You're literally fighting so that the guy next to you on either side and behind you are going to get back inside of the wire tonight. And then we're going to do this for X amount of time. And then we're all going to go home.
Right.
So how do you leave them? And then the unit breaks up. And as that unit breaks up, I end up getting recruiting duty, which no one could get me out of recruiting duty. It's like the mafia of the United States Army. Like once you get
Right.
selected to that thing, there's no way out, which is how I ended up getting out because it
Right.
was like, if this could happen to me at any point in time, I will not, I'd rather be in Fallujah than be recruiting in the army right now. We got wars in 3 places. Like, it's not like kids are running up to join at this point. Like now it's like 2008 and this is all still going on. Like
Right.
we were all patriots at the beginning, and I actually have a lot of pride in that because I'm Generation X. And the reason why we're called Generation X is because the baby boomers were supposed to live too long with modern medicine for them to give up power to us. And by the time it came our turn, the generations in front of us are going to be way more technically advanced than we are. So
Right.
we're like a big X. We're not going to do nothing. However, Generation X is also the only all volunteer United States military that fought all of these wars from 2001 till present. And I don't think that gets said enough. World War II, you were drafted. Vietnam, you were drafted. World War I, you were drafted. I don't want to speak ill of what happened in Desert Storm, but comparing Desert Storm to what happened later on is like comparing a kid in training to a guy who's wrestling in the WWE. There's a huge difference between those two wars. Not saying what you guys did wasn't heroic or
Mm-hmm.
special or didn't need to be done at the time. When I joined and the guys that were joining around when I joined, we knew we were going to war.
Right.
There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We didn't know that Iraq was going to be right around the corner. No one knows what happened in Africa the whole time that I was in that was a hot spot too. Like I ended up in Germany as my first duty station and we just deployed one after another. You come back for 6 months, you go away again. It was just nonstop. And then, like I said, the break in recruiting command. So now I come back, I get married, I put wrestling on hold. I don't pick up professional wrestling again until January of 2020. And there's like no sports on TV this night. Like the Pro Bowl's on at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No one watches the Pro Bowl anyway.
It was
Like, so they're,
during COVID, by the way, mind
yes,
you. This
right
is what,
before.
let's put that so people understand that there's like nothing live.
This is right
Which,
before because
yeah,
March is
which,
when
okay.
April is when the country shuts down. So
Okay.
they still got a full house and everything, right? So
Yep.
I'm sitting there laying there all day watching the stupid Pro Bowl, and I'm just seeing the Royal Rumble commercials one after another after another, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get the Royal Rumble. I ain't got nothing going on tonight anyway. Then I find out they got the app, and it's really $10 a month now for the pay per views. Like, what
Can't
is?
go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this month it's free, so I don't even
Yeah.
have to. I don't even have to pay for this thing, right? So I sit down and I start watching the Rumble, and my kids are upstairs. They're 5 and 4.
Okay.
I am a I am Bills Mafia to the core. I am a diehard Yankee fan. I love the Knicks. I got sports on the TVs all the time. My kids have grown up watching sports, not caring at all about any of it. They come downstairs. The oldest one comes downstairs first from the bath, comes around the corner, looks up at the TV, sees the match in the ring, stops, dead in his tracks, eyes wide open. Dad, what is this? It's pro wrestling, Dom. Do you know about this? Because I think I need to know everything about this. And they're just sits down on the couch right next to me.
That's amazing. That's because that's an origin story for them. Do they still like it? They still watch it?
They love it.
That's
This is
amazing.
why I'm back. We'll
This is
get to
amazing.
that.
Oh yeah, we will.
2 minutes later,
Yeah.
down comes my youngest son, Jack. I watch him turn the corner, look up at the TV, just like his brother, eyes wide open. Is there a comic book on television? What is this? And then his older brother, it's pro wrestling. Dad knows everything. Sit down. I'm like, I didn't say everything.
At this point, they also don't know that you had wrestled
No.
somewhat either. Yeah.
No. And again, to this point, now me and my wife are married for 11 years. We're together 13 years. One conversation still.
Yeah.
So we watch it. They love it. Turn on Raw the next night. They're glued to it. I went on a business trip and I'm like, this is great. This app's got tons of stuff. And it looks like all the boys are talking, telling all the stories about what happened back when they were running, like, Nash and Hall and Michaels, all of them, Brett, everyone's talking. Everyone's telling everything. So I went, the conference was in Vegas. I go to Vegas. I spend the whole time. I'm literally checking into the conference for the education I'm supposed to be receiving. Like, as soon as they take attendance, I just get up, walk out, grab my iPad, and I'm just watching wrestling like a little child, just like my kids. My kids are literally doing this at the same time while we're separated. They're on the app, looking through stuff, watching wrestling. I get home. My wife's going to me, I've been sick the whole time you've been gone. And like, do I look yellow? I'm like, you do look a little yellow. She's like, I don't know. Something might be wrong with me this time. We go to bed, get up the next day. Her eyes are yellow. I'm like, we're going to the emergency room right now. We go to the emergency room. Within the span of 24 hours, they wanted to remove my wife's gallbladder, her appendix, one of her kidneys, and her liver.
Oh my goodness.
They don't know what's going on. 3 days later, she's turning green. Now, I have experience with dead bodies from my previous lives. And when you start turning green, you're expiring. And they have no clue what is going on. This goes on for about a month. We finally get her out of the hospital. Like, we don't really know. We're going to have to follow up again, come back in a week. It might have been 3 or 4 days. Her whole body breaks out in a rash. Now we're in a different hospital with a different doctor. She's on the liver transplant list. They're going to transplant her liver. And this whole time now, we're in these hospital beds. Me and my wife sitting there, and we're watching wrestling. And now we're talking about wrestling. And Roman Reigns had the cancer thing going on at that point.
Yeah.
He had like all the merch, believe in the fight.
Right.
And I'm going to my wife, this is now, they don't know. So now you're going to have to use your mind to overcome this, because I don't get sick. I don't go to doctors. I don't ever have these problems, because in my brain, I'm made out of absolute iron. I don't get sick. I'm not going to have a health scare. That kind of stuff won't happen to me. And my wife knows that this is my mentality on life, because she has to live with it. You're fine. Tell yourself you're fine. Like, I'm not fine. I'm not one of your soldiers. So we're in it, and we're watching, and she's watching, and now I'm telling her all about it. We finally get her out of the hospital. As we're getting out of the hospital, again, no idea what's wrong with her. But she doesn't need her liver, doesn't need all these transplants, doesn't need these things removed. We wouldn't let them do any of it. You're not doing nothing to my wife until someone tells me what is actually happening. And no one could tell us. The first COVID patient at New York Presbyterian landed the last day. My wife was in the hospital. We checked her out of the hospital and we went home. And she had a bunch of medications. Just to wrap up that story, she's perfectly fine now. Her mental willpower has not only brought her through this, she takes no medication whatsoever. We haven't had any hiccups in the 5 years since then. But that is the turning point. That is when now I'm telling my wife about wrestling. Like, I guess I can break kayfabe because everybody else is doing it. When I came up the first time, you weren't telling your old lady nothing. Nothing.
It was still in existence. I mean, it was dying art at the time, but it was trailing off, but it was still there, you know.
The best was we're laying in bed watching it one night and we're watching Raw. So Roman closes the show. And as we're watching, she's going, you know, because she knows me now. She knows the soldier. I met her when I was soldiering. Right? She doesn't know the guy before that.
Right.
So she's like, I could see you doing this, like with the Roman Reigns thing. And I just start laughing hysterically. And she's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, well, first of all, no one's going to pay money for that. No one's going to think that your husband is going to be able to beat up Braun Strowman, who's standing in that ring right now. And as I'm having this, it ends. The show ends, and the next one kicks off. And Enzo and Cass open up the next show. And out pops Enzo doing all of his dances and stuff. And I'm like, I wanted to be that guy. And she's going, no. I'm like, yep. And that's what I was doing before I met you.
And she never knew before. Prior.
Never knew.
That's crazy.
The whole thing is new to her, and she loves it. The kids, they love it. But it's the wife, the kids falling in love with it. And I have one rule as a father. It's not do as I say, not as I do. Don't be a hypocrite. I have led men. I treat my sons like they're men. You can't say one thing and do another. And I always tell my kids that you have a short window from 18 to 25, where as a man, you get to be selfish. You can do whatever you want to do because you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have an expensive fancy car, you don't have all this money that you got to be spreading out all over the place. That's your time to be selfish. There's plenty of time to be a garbage man or an electrician or a police officer or a firefighter, even a soldier. There's plenty of time to do all of that, but you only have a short window to accomplish whatever that dream is. Right now, you tell me it's being a pro wrestler. Great. If it's being the lead singer of a band, if it's playing for the Knicks, I don't care what it is. That is your window to do it. And in telling my kids that, I'm like, well, how can I be a hypocrite and not chase my own dream? Right. Even though I know I'm old. Looking at the landscape of professional wrestling, you guys don't like to wrestle the way I wrestle. You kids don't want to wrestle the way it was always done. You want to do whatever it is that you're doing now. And that's fine. It doesn't bother me because now I can show up and I can wrestle the way they've always wrestled. And styles make fights.
And you mean put on an actual wrestling match is what
yes.
you're referring to, because I can't tell you, a lot of it, growing up, like I said, in the 70s and 80s, I like the actual professional wrestling part of professional wrestling, not the gymnastics, not the choreographs. As much as I like certain people, some of it is modern wrestling. You can ask anybody. Anybody when we're at the shows, Mario, Paul, I'm watching wrestling from the 80s. I don't really watch a lot of the modern product. And unless I'm, at a show, that's it. Because it's not stuff that I particularly like. The style today, it's too different for someone like me who grew up at that time period. I understand. People say the professional wrestling industry evolved by all these different styles. To me, I wouldn't say evolved. It's just not necessarily professional wrestling all the time. You know what I'm saying? With those different styles. And there's certain times, like there's just certain things that people look like they're just ready to break their neck as soon as they're doing stuff, like right off the bat. And to me, it's not necessarily safe. Obviously, it's not safe, but it's like it's kind of scary to think that that happens every single night on television.
Yeah.
And they don't care. Some people do it for very little money. Some people do it and they're making millions. So,
It's
it's
like Mick Foley. Everyone loves
yes,
Mick. I love Mick, right?
yeah,
Why does Mick hate Ric Flair? Because Rick used to tell him, if you keep doing this, you're going to be retired by the time you're 32.
yeah,
And Rick was right. Like,
yep,
Mick got over. Mick's 3-time world champion. Mick made a bucket load of money. I'm sure he doesn't regret a single thing in his career. But
no,
that man was hobbling when he was 32 years old.
yeah, yes. He barely, you could, like you said, hobbling, coming out in sweatpants for crying out loud because he couldn't wear regular. He just great guy. Don't get me wrong. And I always enjoyed watching Mick. I mean, I started watching him really early on in his career, working for the Savoldis and the ICW and saw him work Memphis and World Class and all that stuff. It's just all that dangerous stuff he did, man. It's like you got to feel bad for the guy, but I don't think he cares. He made a shit ton of money. So
It's what he wanted to do. You did what
yeah,
you wanted to do. You can't be upset now. And
yeah,
I don't believe that he is or anything like that. It's just,
right.
again, this is the Miz. The Miz was going when I was going. He's still going.
Yes,
Never gets hurt.
yes, yeah.
What is
Well,
he doing in there?
he works more of an old school style too as
Yeah,
well. Like he does not go out there and do anything really ridiculous.
it's in my opinion, it's not needed. It's not needed for me. I
Right.
mean, my character will always be built around. And please don't do it because I'll take all of the suplexes for myself because there's 100 of them and I know
Yeah.
how to do them all.
Speaking of which, during the show in Rhode Island, we did a show to Rhode Island. That was the first time I met you. To be honest with you, I didn't know it was you. So I was walking up, the sun was in my eyes. I thought you were Alan Compass, so I apologize. So, and I have
There you go,
bad
Alan.
eyes on top of it. And I walk up to you, and I went and shook your hand. I was actually, he's not Alan, and introduced myself. So, but that day, we did an outdoor show, 2 shows. You're on the first show, correct? And you wrestled
Sylvan.
Sylvan. Thank you. My memory is shot. I have them all recorded. I'm just trying to remember everything offhand. Um, so you wrestled Sylvan, and what I gotta say is, I even after the match, I took my headset off and whispered to Kevin. I said, "I am really impressed with that dude. Like seriously, that's the
Thank you. I really
first
appreciate
time
that.
I ever saw you. Me and Kevin were in the booth, and I don't say that often anymore. So I was like,
Thank
you
you.
went through. Is once you went into the arm breaker, and I was like, my eyes popped. I said, this guy knows how to wrestle. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So I got to say, like that really impressed me that day. And I've had the opportunity to work with you a couple other times after that as an announcer for some of your matches, and obviously during PAPW shows, I've been there as well. Not necessarily working, but maybe in the crowd or something like that. So it's always a pleasure to get to actually watch you in the ring because it's like I said, very impressive. I think you just keep seeing something new every time. I get to enjoy actual wrestling when I watch you.
Hey, Rick, I really appreciate that. And that show, um, like, see, the Army has killed in me that center of attention thing that
Hmm.
professional wrestlers have to have. You have to
Right.
be the center of attention. And that's really what I've been fighting to get back and get back to that. It's not a me attitude, but it is a me attitude. And I started working again in March.
Hmm.
First show at the Monster Factory. Like you, Randy, I'm training with Randy Shawn at the 3D Academy, and Randy is like, "Do you want your first match to be back at the Monster Factory?" And I'm like, "I absolutely want my first match to be back at the Monster Factory. Let's close that book right there, and let's move on from there." What did the match? I wrestled for PAPW a couple times in there, and I was just like, "You look like a shoot fighter, you moron. There is no entertainment value to you whatsoever. Like you got." You're just a guy going out there trying to beat somebody up. That's not going to work, kid. You got to start doing other things. And what helped me, which I'm still not even close to being there, but I got to go to Canada with this gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And in Canada, I can easily frame this for being a heel. And I went to Canada and had the time of my life calling them the 51st state. They were booing me out of them buildings over there. They hated me. And now I come back and it's like, now I got to be a babyface again. First show, that Rhode Island show. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to kick this in the ass. I need to get myself in gear. I need to start getting this right. You can do this. And then after that show, you came up to me and you said that. And that was really, Rick, a big motivator moving forward for me. Like, okay, I have people who do nothing but watch wrestling coming up telling me how well I did. That wasn't like him just shining me on. He meant what he just said.
Absolutely.
Maybe I do have something here and maybe I can make this work. And then I've been picking it up really from there.
Okay. When did you start working with doing stuff at PAPW? Do you also come down there and train as well on occasion?
Paul Roma has been invited me. He
Okay.
was inviting, like that show happened. Then the next show was working for Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul was like, you need to come to the gym and you need to train with me.
He must have been impressed because he doesn't say that to everybody.
Well, that's what the boys are telling me. Like,
Yeah.
First they're going, well, Roma likes you, man. He don't like anybody. I'm like, well, okay, but there's no bookings here, boys. Like, what are you talking about? And then now the bookings start, and then the first show, and then I wrestle for him again a week later. You gotta come through. You gotta come through. And then I wrestled for him on the 18th of October, and I could tell that was the last time Paul Roma was going to tell me that I had to come through. But like things were happening at, like, my parents were coming into the town. I had gotten booked on the Vanguard show, so they were coming for Vanguard. That was on Wednesdays. Paul trains on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so I couldn't make it out on those Wednesdays. But at that show, I was like, no, I'll be there on Wednesday. And now I've started working with all of those guys over there at PAPW under Paul's guidance, of course.
Yeah, and Paul, I have to say, Paul was a tremendous worker. No matter what anybody says on the internet, there's so many people that don't like to talk positive about Paul, but he was a fantastic worker. I've seen him, I grew up going to the New Haven Coliseum. Paul would always be in the opening matches or second match, whatever. And I always got to, and he would put him versus Barry Horowitz opening up the show. Okay. You gotta say there's two fantastic workers right there. It'd be an amazing show. So, and then, a lot of people kind of give him slack for joining the Four Horsemen. To him, he didn't care. It was about money. That's it. But that's all it was. So,
give him flack about joining the Four Horsemen. Like, who? Yeah. What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
The like, that's what
group
the
at
first
the
thing I think of when people start to badmouth Paul is like,
yeah.
Paul Roma was one of the Four Horsemen. That is like an elite group of wrestlers that have been Four Horsemen.
And in professional wrestling, it's all about making money. It doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter. It's exactly. So all those people that read on the internet and post on the internet, go fuck yourselves. Paul's a great worker and a great trainer as well. He's produced some really great Brad Baylor, Richard Holiday, and guys like that. And there's more coming. Yeah, Baylor. I mean, Baylor's on TV every week for NXT and Evolve and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Trying to bug him. So Brad, if you're listening, come back on the show because,
Anyway. He was there the first two nights I trained, and I got to work with him. Just smooth as silk, that kid. I mean, he's young too. Hasn't been in the business that long. That kid's got a real future.
Absolutely. And he's, like you said, very young as well. So let's see. Okay. I was at the show at the brewery. They do the Bash in the Brewery series each summer, last summer, this past summer. You got a chance to work with Corey Duke and Mr. Z. Corey Duke, I mean, you're talking about another guy that's got a bright future coming ahead, and he's only been working about a year. I remember being there for one of his first matches there, and the kid looked like he'd been working for a number of years. His first match, I said, "Holy shit, this kid's great." So he's one of my favorites going on. Some people think I'm crazy because I push him too hard. But I think he's fantastic and he's got a bright future ahead of him. So what do you think besides working, with working him and obviously you worked Mr. Z and that Mr. Z, I appreciate the character. I think I think he can really get something going if he pours his heart into that character as well.
Yep. Corey, I mean, I hip toss Corey. When you look at that back on video, it looks like he's over the top of the brewery. That's how high that kid got on that freaking hip toss. Just absolutely amazing. His brother Caleb
Hmm.
is an Army helicopter pilot. So
Oh, well,
obviously, me and him hit it off instantly
right.
because we're cut from the same exact cloth. Funny story. I look at my kids one night and I'm like, because now they want to be wrestlers. This is all I want to do, Dad. My oldest is going, I have to finish your story now. I have to make your dream happen now. I feel like it's my destiny in life now to be a pro wrestler. So I'm sitting there and I don't know the Dukes exist, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is like 2-3 years ago. I'm like, you're the Lang gang. You're Shooter and Whiskey Lang, and you're cowboys, and you're twins. They're not twins. And they shit all over it. They're be a cowboy. What are you even talking about, Dad? Fast forward 2 years. I'm flipping through, seeing who's in the territory, who's good, who do I need to keep an eye on, who do I want to work with. Pops the Dukes, and
Yep.
I'm literally going, you see, you see, and they love the Dukes,
Yeah.
absolutely love the Dukes. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
First, they look like professional wrestlers.
Yes.
Guys on the indies, you need to look like a professional wrestler. This is a cosmetic business.
Yeah. That's something I always mention. There's not a lot of wrestlers out there today that do not look like professional wrestlers. And I mean, look, I'm just kind of a big guy myself. I'm not a wrestler though, but coming from I guess you could say a fan, a podcaster, an announcer, not a lot of guys out there that look like professional wrestlers. At
Yeah,
least if you don't look like a professional wrestler physically, make your character look like something like Z, for instance. You know what I mean? I think there's so much potential in that character, but that's just me.
I like that whole thing that Sylvan's doing over there with them.
With the forced loss and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. And I think it's funny with Bobby Loveless being the lackey kind of and
perfect.
yeah, he's like walking by me one time at a show and I'm sitting there and he's like, I don't think I could do this. I don't think I could do this. And I'm just like I'm just rolling because he's got the neck brace on and crutches and they had me dying, but there's always like that one moment that makes me change. Like I might not be paying much attention to you. Maybe it's like, this guy's not that great. But then there's always a one moment like that that'll flip me and make me be like, all right, that guy's got
Oh,
it. That guy's
okay.
got it. Yeah, yeah,
There you go. A little spark from you, kid. There
yeah,
you go.
exactly. So sometimes it just takes a little extra, or something random. I also like obscure kinds of humor. So if it's just like something really kind of ridiculous like that, it'll just like set me off, and then I'll become a fan. So yeah,
Heel. That's a good heel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few more questions. So,
Okay.
and then we could give you the floor if you want anything to if have anything else to say. But Vanguard, working for Doc Warren, it's always been a pleasure. The few times I've sat there in the booth and announced for him. Doc's a great guy. The building he runs is fantastic. Last time we did a live stream on Facebook, and you got a chance to. I'm pretty involved with the AIWF, and of course you challenged. You're one of three men in a four-way challenge for the AIWF Atlantic Championship. The other was Bloodsaw and Michael Mistretta. Of course, you guys tried to go after Kaizo with that Atlantic Championship. Why don't you tell me about each of these gentlemen and what it was like to challenge for that belt? Especially want to know your thoughts on working with Mistretta and the champion Kaizo.
I think Kaizo is an absolutely fantastic young wrestler.
Yeah,
I think that he's again, that's another kid that could do something in
yeah,
this business. Um, Mistrata, I mean, that's one of those technically sound. He's like me, like a little different, but that's a technically sound, old school type of wrestler, and I'll always enjoy that.
right.
It was a lot of fun. Again, like I'm from a different place and time. Like I literally remember going, well, what's the psychology for these three ways? And I literally remember Larry looking at me going, you ain't going to have to worry about that, kid. Some veteran will call that shit for you. Don't even worry about it. So I have no psychology when it comes, besides, the basic, what
Right.
you could, just being a pro and knowing,
Yeah.
just keep making it a one-on-one. But
Yes.
yeah, same thing with the four-way. But, a lot of fun. These are all firsts for me because we didn't do a lot of this stuff back in the day with the three-ways and the four-ways.
Right.
And then I was on a little streak. That's all I was doing there for a minute. So
yeah, they've they slowed down for a little bit. It seemed for a while, and now it seems like now every show's got them. You know what I mean? And I think the Vanguard. One of the thing is, I think I'm sitting there at the table, and somebody turns to me, is like, or maybe it's Corey. It was Corey. I think in the locker room goes, "There's only 2 singles matches tonight." And I looked at the sheet and I was like, God damn, you're right. Everything was a 3-way, a tag match, a woman's match. I think the woman's match was one of the singles matches, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was like, and I was just like, man, I said, that to me, everything should just be a one-on-one or a tag match. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, traditional professional wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and even at this level,
yeah,
there's a lot of guys that shouldn't be attempting to do this kind of shit.
no,
Like this, like you guys, to be perfectly honest, most of you don't even have the psychology for a one-on-one, and now you're going to throw in another guy or two. Like, boys, come on.
yeah.
But
It's
again, sometimes you're just at the mercy of the promoter.
And sometimes it's just a huge clusterfuck. It could be confusing. To me, it's confusing for fans. 2 guys over here wrestling outside in the bleachers. Then there's 2, ringside, and God knows what's going on. You know what I mean? It's just, to me, it's not entertaining as much as I know a lot of other people like it a lot of other people think that they are, but to me, it's not. But
Then you can't book me in a 4-way or a 3-way.
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can with it.
So you teamed up. This is the last match I want to ask you for. So you teamed up with Damian Black, another kid that I think is very, very good. I've gotten the opportunity to witness him a few times. Another really good kid, and you took on Z and Loveless again. So what was that like teaming with them? And that was at Paradise Alley as well.
That was my first go around with Paradise Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
Damian Black got good baby face, a lot of great fire to the kid.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. He can really move around the ring.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of lot more, the kicks and the stuff like that go along with it.
Right.
So yeah, that was fun. Again, you're blind tagging with somebody you've never met before.
It's got to be interesting. I mean, for the most part, yeah.
And that was my second match back too, by the way.
Oh, geez. So
yeah.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much it with the questions that I have prepared for you. Is there anything else that you want to throw out there before we wrap it up and want to give it to anybody?
I don't know. I think the main thing that brought me back is the corporations have taken over professional wrestling. I mean, when I was smarting up the first time, it was explained to me you can be a superstar or you can be a professional wrestler. To be a superstar, you can only do that in one place, in New York. To be a professional wrestler, a man can make a living traveling around this world, applying his art, and you might never be famous on TV, but you'll be doing what you say you want to do and be a pro wrestler.
Right.
Which do you want to do? This is what Larry. And then I said, I want to be a pro wrestler. And then that's when they really started smarting me up. That's when I moved to the next ring. And now I'm watching like what is going on. And I don't know if it's how it ended up in this place because I was gone, but the WWE thinks they have created a superstar down there at that NXT Performance Center, where you're literally churning out people who have no love for this wrestling business whatsoever. They're all being trained by the same half dozen guys. These half dozen guys, fantastic, will make more money than I'll ever make in this business. They're great. These are great wrestlers, but this is not how we do it. Like, Austin's trained by gentleman Chris Taylor. Dominic DeNucci trained Shane Douglas and Mick Foley. Killer Kowalski trained Triple H. Larry Sharpe trained Bam Bam Bigelow, The Godfather, King Kong. Like, it just goes. Mr. Fuji trained Paul Roma, had some training with Larry Sharpe as well.
Yep.
This is not the way the professional wrestling business I don't think can be sustained with people who don't love wrestling. And then you stick these kids in NXT, and they're great athletes. But
Yeah.
I must have been out of wrestling when they decided that the be all end all was to be an athlete. You used to have to be a man in this sport. Like, I just always equated to Tom Brady. Was Tom Brady the greatest athlete on any team he ever played for? No.
No,
He's the
no.
best football player of all time, isn't he, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
But athletic? Have you ever seen that draft video of him at the combine running without his shirt on?
Never.
Rick, you could give him a run for his money running. That's how slow that man was moving. This is the greatest football player of all time. Like, being an athlete is not the be all end all. And I
Right.
don't need to be athletic to dunk you on your head either.
Right.
It's just, it's almost gotten too far. And I don't know if it's because the indies just aren't producing anymore. But when I look around, I'm only in a small section, and I can grab you 3 or 4 guys right now that you could stick down in that performance center, and they'll be on TV in 3 months.
I,
And
I
I'm not
can
talking about myself.
I can think of a bunch of guys from our area that are probably Connecticut alone, maybe Connecticut, New
Yes.
York alone, maybe even Massachusetts. I can tell you, it's like they're not training people down there to be professional wrestlers, they're training them to be TV stars and attract certain people. Do you remember there was a time period where I think they had a list? It was one side of the list was athletes, second side of the list was wrestlers. And I think I heard Jeff Cobb. He's in there now. Was it JC Mateo? Is that his name in
Yep.
WWE? In an interview, saying it's like they had this list and they were just checking these boxes, whether you're an athlete, and they didn't. The list of professional wrestlers was very short compared to the athletes because they wanted people to. They did not want people to go out there trained a certain way and have to break that mold, I guess you could say, of them being trained as a wrestler because they wanted these athletes who they can train their style to make them a TV star and give them this whole gimmick and just give them this I guess make them a star, shine them up, I guess, real nice,
Yeah.
as opposed to breaking. And I think that's when the first time when Cobb Mateo he didn't make it the first time around, and he came in I think earlier this year. It was just like that was years later he came in
Yeah.
when they were just going through the whole overhaul. So I mean, it's that's how the wrestling business was then as compared to now. I guess they probably want wrestlers now, but they're still going to go through that whole entire training process as well. It keeps going back and forth in training, but there is an age limit as well. Like you said, they don't want some 40-year-old guy. They said they
Yeah.
didn't want a guy that's more than like 28 years old or something like that. And then I think the ladies maybe had a few extra years. So, to me is it's just crazy because some guys don't even hit their peak until they're like in their 30s or so, maybe even earlier. Look at Flair
You
was
go
still
back.
putting on some of his best matches in his 40s.
Hogan's 54 when he's the NWO WCW heavyweight
Yeah.
champion.
And that was
Most
one of the,
guys don't hit that level of work until
yeah,
they're 40.
right. Yeah.
Then what? It's like they have control over everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with these kids, because they haven't been independent wrestlers, because they have no love for wrestling at all, once they go out there and fail, they have absolutely nothing to fall back on
Right.
because they've never done this before. They haven't had to start a character from scratch. They haven't had to get that character over on the indies in order to get seen by somebody in New York, in order to get down to that training center.
Yeah.
It's just they get up there, and I've been watching now for 5 years. They look great when there's 200 people. I wrestle in front of 200 people. Like,
Yeah.
they're great in front of 200 people. And then everybody doesn't watch NXT that watches the main show. And I
Not at
watch
all.
you come up, struggle, not get booked, disappear from TV, and then your future endeavored.
NXT is a unique audience, I guess you could say. They're very much into NXT. Not everybody that watches Raw and SmackDown watch NXT, and and there's a lot of people that watch Raw and or NXT only, which has always been a thing for a while. That's when it was the Black and Gold brand. That was the only thing that I was watching at the time for wrestling. I wasn't watching Raw and SmackDown because it was the best wrestling on TV. What was it? You guys say 4 or 5 years ago before they changed it?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Something,
And that's
something
the
like
first thing I actually went to go back and watch where I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, what do I need to see from wrestling fans? Like, you need to go back and watch NXT.
Yeah.
So I went back and watched NXT, and I didn't realize that I'm literally watching the last of the indies. Like, these are
Yes.
like the last group of guys that were independent wrestlers that were making money in this business that you brought in, and you started this thing with that.
Right. It was like the super indie owned by WWE, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was crazy. So what else are you watching? What are you watching around here? What indies are you paying attention to? Or do you, there's a lot of streaming apps specifically for independent wrestling. Do you belong to any of them? Are you checking anything out? Wrestling Open, any of that stuff?
I'm still trying to get my footing. Like,
Yeah,
I I'm not. I live in New York. I most of the wrestling right now is in Connecticut. Now I'm right on the border, which
right.
is how I ended up at 3D because they're in Danbury. That gym's 15 minutes from me. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't even have to move across the country. I just have to go 15 minutes down the road. Paul's an hour and a half away, so that's a hump.
It takes you that long to get there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Connecticut. I don't know what is with the traffic in
Oh,
Connecticut.
if it's traffic. I used to live in New Haven, Connecticut, which is a town over from where the school is. Uh, I used to go to Danbury every week. I'm a huge record collector. So there used to be a record store in Danbury I'd go to probably once a week, once every other week. I'd probably race. I'd probably get there in 45 minutes, 50 minutes to Danbury. So, and I'd go to like ECW would run the O'Neill Center over there at
Yeah,
Danbury was it WestCon? Is that WestCon over there,
yeah,
right off the exit,
yeah. I think
stuff like
so.
that. Yeah. So I used to, 45 minutes, but I could see Connecticut traffic is possibly the worst traffic,
Yeah.
like known to man. I was
And
talking
there's
to,
never a reason why. I'm just
no,
sitting in traffic. Like, there's never someone broken down on the side of the road or a cop pulled somebody over. It's just like, oh, we just drove out of it. Nope, I guess we're good again. We're just gonna start driving.
I went to, what did I do? I went to, my son goes to school in New Rochelle, New York. Okay. So it's supposed to be about a 90-minute drive. It's once I hit Stanford, and I was talking to Paul about this the other day. So what is it with Stanford? He's like, once I hit Stanford, it's dead stop for about a good 45 minutes. And it ends up taking me 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get my son to go visit my son up in New Rochelle. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I come from the Bronx, so in reality, I'm coming up from the Bronx on Wednesdays. I don't live in the Bronx; that's where I work.
Okay.
So I'm literally in the car for 2.5, 3 hours to get to Paul.
That's
But
crazy. I don't know
it
how you do it, man.
it's just he's just an absolute breath of fresh air. It's like listening to what I remember. Not that the 3D Academy was great and it got me right where I am today, and I love it, and I still go there. I still love to hang out with the boys there, and I love Randy's training. But Randy is more of a I'm retrofitting the new way into the old way, where Paul is it's like Larry Sharpe all over again, basically.
Yeah. And Paul, if you sit there and after school, at the school, get to sit with Paul and Mario ever, you get to hear some great stories about their times working in the WWF as well, which I love those time periods when we get to sit and
Oh
talk about
yeah.
that stuff, talking, and then
Oh, I
it's
remember
just amazing.
WrestleMania 3. I
Yeah.
remember right where I was sitting. I remember my mother coming into the room going, "We bought you WrestleMania 3." And I was like, "Oh, really? This is amazing." It was like a 3-hour show where they just
Yeah.
ran promos
Yeah.
over and over. It must have been all of the TV hits from around the country that
Right.
they would do back in the day for the commercial, and there was just one after another. And I would just when I would rewatch it, even I would watch the 3 hours of nothing but promos and then watch WrestleMania again.
I
And I
still
think
go back to that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul was Young Stallions, I think, for that one, wasn't he? Because I'm almost positive he was on
He was
WrestleMania
in
3
WrestleMania 4. WrestleMania
or
3 was at the Pontiac Silverdome. I think WrestleMania 4 was the first one I watched live. So that was at Trump Towers. Yeah. Yeah, he was Young Stallions at WrestleMania 4. I think by WrestleMania 5 they had split up. Yep. I
yeah.
know. I know by Paul Roma history. So
Oh, I love wrestling.
yeah, me too. Me
And
too.
Paul's been absolutely wonderful. He's really taken he is not does not have to do what he's doing. Um
Right.
and I really appreciate that of
Yeah.
what he I mean, I know I'm going to be working for him a lot and it just makes sense, but still he doesn't have to do it the way he's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's great at what he does. He's got him and Mario have a great product there in in the Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. I advise anybody to go out there and watch if you guys are in the New Haven area of Connecticut. That's usually where we run. Of course, there's always the Alley Fight series that Nick and Hakim have started up again. So I advise everybody to come check it out because you're going to get a good, more an old school style professional wrestling product, really. So,
It's got some new school for all you
yeah,
new school people.
there
There'll
is.
be
There
some
is.
people flying around.
Yeah.
You just won't be flying around in Sarge's match very much.
No, not at all. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to sit here and do this with me today. It's about time that we wrap it up. So, do you want to say where that you're going to be coming up anytime soon, and where people can find you on the social media, etc.?
Yes. I'm on Squared Circle Television tomorrow. I don't know when it's going to actually air. Keep looking at my socials. It'll pop up there eventually. That's with Uncle Otis. And then we got Mania in Paradise,
Okay.
November 22nd. And then I think I got one for PAPW at the beginning of the year. I'm pretty much going to stand pat for the rest of this year. I will be accepting bookings starting in January, and we're going to start going at this full bore. Vanguard, Pure Vanguard is.
I think that was moved to February, I believe.
Yeah, February 14th.
Yeah.
You can see me there. I believe that the PAPW show is January 17th. That's
I'm not. Yeah.
Saturday. I think it's that one, but yeah.
Okay.
And then for bookings, it's at andoliniarmy@gmail.com or at andoliniarmy is all of my socials. So you can find me there if you're looking if you're looking for a white meat baby face in 2025, I'm your guy.
I want to say thank you for joining me here today and taking the last hour to speak with about your wrestling career and wrestling in general. And I want everybody go check it out. Check out the Squared Circle with Uncle Otis and Jay Williams as well, as he's going to be hopping over there later on.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I love talking wrestling, and I appreciate you letting me get my story out there, Rick.
Absolutely, we're going to have you back again sometime in the near future.
Excellent.